previous chapter, Wu had saved Slayer, and the others acknowledged him as the final victor of the Storm Cloud Arena. With this victory, he gained massive experience points, instantly leveling up to 15. He also obtained an epic weapon that suited his level and class, the Bloodstained Blade, complete with a vampiric attribute. The commentators found this impressive, as it would be a helpful asset in the next event, and that event is none other than the Storm Cloud Catastrophe. But before he could descend to the player's realm, Wu have warned him to not embarrass her, so if he couldn't kill 1,000 people, he should not bother coming back. As soon as he entered the realm of players, his cheats activated. Being level 15 now, he received a new skill and a random mission, which conveniently aligned with Wu's condition. Fortunately for him, he didn't have to search for players, as the system kept announcing his presence in real time. So, he lets out the most devious violation ever, defeating everyone who approach him. But somehow, as time goes by, the volume of player trying to attack him had lessened, and so he decided to start the hunt for players. And during his search, he encountered Luna, a white-haired girl with a hidden class known as the Moonlight Knight. This class allowed her to defeat an epic-level boss by herself, but because she was alone, a group of troublemakers targeted her to steal her loot. But she wasn't a pushover either, and so she showed them who was the real threat in that situation. And now that she has taken care of the losers, she spotted Slayer who was eavesdropping on her, and so a showdown between them seemed imminent. Unexpectedly, before they could clash, two separate groups emerged on the scene, one targeting Luna, and the other was looking for Slayer. In this chaotic situation, both Luna and Slayer had the same idea, so they simultaneously hid behind the groups who were not targeting them, causing even more confusion. With this, chaos ensues, and they decided to take advantage of it and murk these sons of a bitches. In the end, the two of them are the only one left standing, but they couldn't have that, so they continued the fight, in which Slayer emerged victorious, completing his mission. So, he returned to the monster's realm, while Luna headed back to the real world, and lists a rough estimate about the boss she encountered to defeat him the next time they meet. Now on to the next part. Meanwhile, as Slayer was going through the portal, the random achievement tome detected that he has completed his mission of killing 100 players, and therefore it gave him a reward, a mythical tier item, the enchanted divine earrings, which allows the holder to transform their own race, and after transformation, the holder will gain race-specific appearance, race-specific passive talent, mastery of its language. With this, he was contented to receive a worthy reward for his efforts, since this item has both great applicability and functionality. And then, a system interface popped up, congratulating Slayer for completing the Storm Cloud Catastrophe. And with his amazing performance, the system has settled to reward him 1,000 contribution points, and a crazy amount of experience points, leveling him up to level 21. And with this, he acquired yet another skill, the Rending Burst Blade, which allows him to enhance his next basic attack, dealing 180% of physical damage to the target, while ignoring 20% of the target's physical defense. There's also a 20% chance to inflict the target with bleeding status. Soon after, he stepped out of the portal, which he was greeted by the loud cheers of the countless of crowds, who has seen what he just did. Even the commentators were impressed seeing that he achieves a record of killing 1,000 players. So, it is obvious that he is truly deserving of the title Rising Star of the Storm Cloud. But this amazing accomplishment also garnered the hate of others, which Slayer took notice, as the fucker couldn't look him in the eyes. Not that he has won. Still, he couldn't care less about him, so he redirected his attention toward the baddie in front of him, who was also recognizing his dependability, as he hadn't embarrassed her, which made her quite delighted, resulting in a genuine smile. And now that she sees him to be worthy of her time, she waved her hands, suddenly opening a portal, and told Slayer to follow her, which he did willingly so. And now they entered one of the secret realms, the Blood Moon City's evolutionary blood pool, which confused Slayer upon looking at it, because there is nothing about it in the game he designed, so he was wondering what is really going on. But his train of thought was interrupted by Wu asking him if he had a clue about the reason why. Even though Blood Claw's level was adjusted to the same level as his, he was able to easily defeat others, to which Slayer responded confidently, explaining that he knew the reason, and it was because of bloodline. Just like equipment has different qualities, Each monster's attribute varies greatly due to bloodline differences, and his bloodline is the lowest. And seeing that they are talking about bloodlines, Slayer asks if the place they are standing right now is related to breaking through bloodline attributes, to which she responded that it is exactly what he assumed, and this is one of the secret realms under her jurisdiction, and since she acknowledged his worth, he can now pick any area that he would like to jump in. But before that, she reminds him to not get his hopes up, since his evolution still depend on his luck. Meanwhile, in the Blood Moon City's North Hall, Shuang is having a tantrum, thinking about how Wu just disrespected him in front of a crowd, so his blood keeps on boiling in rage. Still, this wouldn't happen if it weren't for that useless brat from the Lion Clan, fueling his anger even more. And seeing that this might get out of control, one of his advisor that was beside him tries to calm him down, and tells him that he shouldn't be this furious, cause this might not be such a bad thing. After all, the Lion Clan has always intended to be on good terms with him, and through this incident, they saw that he is willing to get hurt to protect their descendants, so he concluded that this will surely strengthen their loyalty towards him. But even after all of that, Shuang admitted to his advisor that he can't swallow his anger, and it's really getting on his nerve of how uncomfortable it is. In response, the advisor offered a suggestion, a more indirect way to provoke Wu. Although they couldn't directly harm her, there were alternative methods. He leaned in, whispering the plan discreetly to Shuang, and upon hearing all of it, a wicked grin spread across Shuang's face, as he decided to proceed with the advisor's plan. A few moments later, Slayer had already dipped himself on the pool of blood, and was now in the process of evolution, while Wu was observing his progress, which she can't help but be fascinated at him, as Slayer's absorption speed is quite fast, and this could only mean that Slayer's potential is quite high. However, her train of thought was disrupted by someone calling out her name, and so she turns around, only to see the City Lord's mansion Black Death Guards, asking her to come with them, since the City Lord has given them an order, summoning her to the main city immediately. Still, she wasn't going to just agree with them that easily, and she is quite busy right now, so she asks them to wait until she is free. However, they are not her underlings, and so they are not planning to follow her as she pleases, and so the captain takes up the City Lord's Blood Summon Decree, and upon the issuance of the Blood Summon Decree, the recipient must immediately present themselves to the City Lord, and those who disobey shall be executed without mercy. With this, she doesn't have a choice but to go with them, but before she leaves Slayer behind, she told a cryptic message, informing him about how there are occasional rock falls in the nearby mountain, so he should look out for that, to avoid getting crushed accidentally. After that, she leaves with the guards. With this, the captain couldn't help himself but smile, as everything is according to their plan. A few moments later, Wu and the guards had completely left Slayer all alone. However, it appeared that the progress of his evolution was about to reach a conclusion, as the blood around him had increased and was now enveloping his entire body. Soon after, he was nowhere to be seen as the blood had completely covered him. But this was also the moment the others had been waiting for, since it is the time when Slayer couldn't cancel his evolution process and is vulnerable to attacks. And so, the lower commander of the Shadow Squad signaled his subordinates to attack, which they didn't skip a beat to do just that. However, little did they know, Slayer's absorption was faster than they expected, and so he awoken, and was more than willing to school these fools on what skill gap is about. At the same time, Wu and the guards are now hiking up the mountain, which the captain happily grins as he sees a powerful entity like Wu can't do anything but be obedient when she saw the blood summoning order. But to his surprise, Wu suddenly decided to stop following them, and just sit on a rock, and so he asked her what is the meaning of this sudden rest. However, she doesn't feel the need to explain herself to him, as she just enjoyed the view of her blood pool, where few nosy bugs are racing each other to kill Slayer first, in order to get the credit, and so the fastest one has managed to slice where Slayer was resting, and so the spherical blood formation had broken up, and now they just stood there waiting for the remains of their target. But to their surprise, Slayer was still in one piece, which confuses the assassins since they obviously had cut it down, and even the one who did it felt his attack connected. Still, seeing that their target was standing, they didn't hesitate to make sure this motherfucker's deceased. But as soon as they got a closer look on their target, shock fills their eyes, as they realized that Slayer had completed his evolution and came out smoking hot, and so they are now questioning their sexuality. But even before they could react, Slayer had decapitated them both, while the lower commander was shocked to see he completed his evolution as well. But still, they gotta get things done, and so he commanded his subordinates to attack together, which they immediately did, and with teamwork, they launched a coordinated attack. But Slayer just simply took a step back to dodge it, cause these little dudes were slow as heck. And what's even more surprising is that he had violated them without them even noticing, as Slayer is now on a whole nother level. They didn't even realize they were dead, not until they saw their heart in Slayer's hand, completely shocking them all. But the lower commander can't have that. He can't let that disrespect slide, and so he attacks Slayer with everything that he has. And with each strike, he embeds his blade with a powerful aura that multiplies his strength. However, Slayer is on demon time right now, so he easily dodges them all. And Slayer proved to be a total menace, as he doesn't even take this fight seriously at all. He's even smiling deviously while doing that light-skinned stare. With this, the lower commander realized he was fucked, and now he knows why he was named as a lower commander. He was destined to be a bottom person from the start, and so he easily took some damage from Slayer without resistance, completely tearing off his left arm, leaving him no choice but to step back and think about his life choices, wondering where it all went wrong. All the information given to him about Slayer has misled him, as he realized Slayer ain't a bitch, but Slayer is the one who is called to make someone a bitch. But even if he realized this, he can't just dip out of here. He has to kill Slayer, since this mission was trusted to him by Zhuang, and he is not willing to tarnish his master's name. And so he summoned the other hidden assassin to his aid, to complete their mission with everything on the line, which they fully understood. Therefore they performed a ritual to boost the bottom commander, giving him an immense power that buffed his overall abilities, and he even regenerated a limb because of this, and was now looking to kill Slayer, while Slayer remained calm, as bottom commander is still a bitch in his eyes. And to prove this, he willingly throws himself towards the enemy's range, and as soon as he got close, he reverted back to his skeleton form, which made the commander think Slayer's evolution was failing, in turn making him confident to win this match. And so, he continued to strike, but to his surprise, Slayer easily dodged it. During his enemy's momentum, Slayer took this chance to turn back to his demon form and decapitate the commander. With this, shock can be shown on the bottom commander's face as he saw his own body without a head. Meanwhile, on the side, Wu Yu applauded Slayer's performance, delighted to see that his harvest went quite smoothly. Slayer then asked if these assassins were from Zhuang, to which she confirmed. Even the guards who took her were connected to Zhuang, but she had already sent them away. With this information, Slayer realized that she knew what their motives were from the start, and so he asked her if this was his second test. However, as he approached her suddenly, the view became more clear. She noticed that he was quite well equipped down there, and so she was looking at it more than she should, which embarrassed Slayer, causing him to hide it from her. Surprisingly, she was quite thirsty and commanded him to take his hands off right this instant. With that settled, she told him that she was quite satisfied with his performance, and so she asked what he wanted, as she could grant him one wish.
Yeah, boy.
But my man is not horny, as he only wants one thing, and that is to know where his brother is. So he asks Wu Yu the whereabouts of Hanny Xiao, which made her sigh as she brought the bad news to him, that he was already gone.